You may think self-care is about comfort, but let me tell you the truth. It is about respect. If you do not respect yourself, no one in this world will truly respect you. If you do not love yourself, every relationship, every success, every achievement will feel empty because the foundation is missing. I learned this not in peace, but in struggle. I discovered that the way you treat yourself becomes the way the world treats you. When I disciplined my body, when I sharpened my mind, when I stood firm in silence, I was not just training as a martial artist. I was teaching myself love. And without that love, all the strength, all the fame, all the victories would mean nothing. Today, I will share with you the habits that shaped my life. Habits that will teach you how to respect yourself, how to love yourself, and how to live in a way that no one can break you. Listen closely, because this is not just advice. This is survival. 1. Master your body, master your life. Your body is the very first home you will ever live in, and it is the only one you cannot replace. You may buy a bigger house, you may wear finer clothes, you may surround yourself with luxury, but if you neglect your body, all of it becomes meaningless. Every dream you carry, every goal you hope to achieve depends on the strength and energy of this vessel you were given. If the body collapses, the mind weakens, and if the body is left uncared for, the spirit loses its fire. This is why I treated my training not as a chore, not as a burden, but as a form of respect. When I trained, it was not simply to fight, not to build muscles for the mirror, but because I knew this body is my only weapon, my only tool, my only bridge to experiencing life fully. Every punch I threw, every kick I practiced, every drop of sweat that rolled down my face was not just physical effort. It was proof to myself that I valued my life enough to protect it, to strengthen it, and to prepare it for any challenge that may come. Think about this. When you wake up and move your body, when you choose good food over poison, when you commit to exercise, you are telling yourself, I deserve better. I am worthy of health. I am worthy of strength that is love in action, that is self-respect made visible. But when you neglect your body, when you let laziness control you, when you feed yourself what harms you, you are not only weakening your body, you are also weakening your confidence, your courage, your very spirit. A man who cannot climb a flight of stairs without losing his breath will also find himself losing his confidence in the battles of life. A woman who feels drained all day because she neglects her health will also feel drained in her pursuit of her dreams. The connection is unbreakable. The stronger your body becomes, the more alive your spirit feels, and the clearer your mind becomes. So treat your body like a temple. Move it daily, not once a week, not when you feel guilty, but every single day. You don't need a gym full of machines. Your body itself is the gym. Stretch it, challenge it, respect it. Feed it wisely. Food can be your medicine, or it can be your poison. Drink water, rest properly, breathe deeply. When you begin to honor your body in this way, you will notice a transformation not only in how you look, but in how you think, how you walk, how you carry yourself. Confidence will no longer be something you search for. It will flow naturally from within. Respect yourself enough to give your body the attention it deserves. Do not see exercise as punishment. See it as a daily act of love. Do not see healthy food as restriction. See it as fuel for greatness. Do not see rest as laziness. See it as preparation for your next battle. Your body is your foundation, and when the foundation is strong, the entire structure of your life becomes unshakable. Remember this truth. When your body grows stronger, your spirit becomes unstoppable, and your mind finds the clarity it needs to conquer any challenge. To master your body is to master your life. 2. Guard your mind like a fortress. Your mind is the command center of your entire life. Every action you take, every word you speak, every dream you pursue begins as a thought. If your mind is weak, your decisions will be weak. If your mind is poisoned, your life will reflect that poison. This is why I always say, protect your mind as if it were the most valuable treasure you will ever possess. Because it is. Too often, people live carelessly, allowing every opinion, every insult, every fear, and every doubt to enter their minds without resistance. Imagine leaving the doors of your home wide open in the middle of the night with no locks, no walls, no guards. What would happen? Strangers would enter, thieves would steal, and you would lose everything you had built. This is exactly what happens when you fail to guard your mind. You leave it unprotected, and the world will fill it with negativity until you no longer recognize yourself. I studied philosophy, psychology, and ancient wisdom not because I wanted to impress anyone, but because I understood that my mind had to be sharper than any sword, stronger than any opponent. Training my body gave me power, but training my mind gave me direction. A strong body without a clear mind is like a powerful ship with no compass. It moves, but it goes nowhere. That is why I dedicated time to reading, reflecting, and meditating. These habits were not luxuries, they were shields that kept me focused and unshaken. You must ask yourself, what are you feeding your mind? Every book you read, every video you watch, every person you spend time with is shaping your thoughts. If you allow yourself to constantly consume negativity, gossip, and fear, then your mind will become a breeding ground for weakness. But if you choose carefully, if you read words that inspire you, if you surround yourself with people who push you higher, if you practice silence to cleanse your thoughts, then your mind will become a fortress. Nothing will be able to break through. Understand this: the mind is always listening. When you speak words of defeat to yourself, your mind believes them. When you repeat thoughts of doubt, your spirit becomes heavy. But when you feed yourself thoughts of strength, when you remind yourself of your worth, when you focus on clarity and growth, your mind begins to act as your protector rather than your enemy. Loving yourself means guarding the gates of your mind. It means filtering out what weakens you and allowing only what strengthens you to enter. I learned this in combat as well. Before a fight, it was not only my body that had to be ready, it was my mind. If I allowed fear to enter, if I doubted myself for even a moment, that fear would weaken my performance. But when I entered the fight with clarity, when my mind was still, I became untouchable. This applies to your daily battles too. Whether it is your career, your relationships, or your personal goals, the strength of your mind determines the outcome. So treat your mind like a sacred place. Protect it with discipline, train it with wisdom, clear it with silence, guard it against the noise of the world. And remember, what you allow inside will shape the life you live outside. If you respect yourself, you will not let just anything occupy your thoughts. You will choose carefully, deliberately, and with love. Because a man or woman who guards their mind is a man or woman who is impossible to control. To love yourself is to build this fortress within, and once it is built, no storm, no insult, no enemy can tear it down. 3. Discipline is the purest form of self-respect. Too many people confuse self-care with comfort. They believe that loving yourself means giving yourself endless rest, eating whatever you desire, and living without rules. But this is not love. It is neglect disguised as kindness. Real love for yourself does not come from indulgence. It comes from discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is a gift you give to your future self. It is the highest form of respect you can show to your own life because it says, I believe in myself enough to work for something greater. When I woke up before the sun to train, it was not because I was forced to, but because I understood that every moment wasted in laziness was a moment stolen from my destiny. I drilled punches thousands of times, not because I enjoyed repetition for its own sake, but because mastery demands consistency. Every routine, every sacrifice, every drop of sweat was proof that I honored my potential. Without discipline, your talent is wasted. Without discipline, your dreams remain only wishes. Without discipline, you betray yourself day after day because you settle for comfort instead of growth. Think about this. When you say you want to become stronger, healthier, or more successful, but you refuse to wake up early, you refuse to train, you refuse to study, then you are lying to yourself. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Without it, you will forever live in the shadow of your excuses. With it, you will carve a path that no one can take from you. Discipline is not about being hard for the sake of being hard. It is about being loyal to your own potential. I respected myself too much to let laziness destroy me. Every time I chose to practice when others rested, I was proving that my life was worth the effort. Every time I refused to give in to distraction, I was showing that my goals mattered more than temporary pleasure. Every time I endured pain in training, I was reminding myself that I was capable of more than the limits my mind tried to set. This is the heart of discipline, to act not for immediate reward, but for long-term greatness. Understand this. Nobody will respect you if you cannot respect yourself, and the greatest proof of self-respect is discipline. Look at your daily habits. Do you follow through with what you say you will do? Do you wake up when you promised yourself you would? Do you stick to the work you committed to? Or do you betray yourself with procrastination, excuses, and distractions? Every broken promise to yourself chips away at your confidence, but every disciplined action builds a wall of strength inside you, a wall that nothing can tear down. Discipline is freedom. Many people think it is the opposite, that discipline is restriction, but that is because they do not understand it. The man who eats without discipline becomes a slave to his cravings. The one who spends money without discipline becomes a slave to his debts. The one who avoids training becomes a slave to weakness. But the disciplined man eats what fuels him, and therefore he is free from sickness. The disciplined man spends wisely, and therefore he is free from financial chains. The disciplined man trains daily, and therefore he is free from fear because he trusts his own strength. Discipline does not cage you, it frees you from everything that holds you back. When you love yourself, you demand more of yourself. You do not allow laziness to steal your future. You do not allow weakness to define you. Discipline is love in its truest form, because it demands growth. And growth is what gives you pride, confidence, and power. Remember, comfort will not protect you. Excuses will not carry you forward. Only discipline will. So I say to you, if you truly wish to respect yourself, live with discipline. Wake up and keep the promises you make to yourself. Train when it is difficult. Study when it is boring. Stay focused when the world tries to distract you. And in the end, you will look at yourself not with regret, but with pride, because you will know that you lived not as a prisoner of laziness, but as a master of your destiny. 4. Silence is power, not weakness. The strongest man in the room is rarely the one who shouts the loudest or argues the longest. Strength is not measured by how many words you can throw at someone, but by how deeply you can remain in control of yourself when the world is trying to shake you. I learned this truth not only in martial arts, but in life itself. Many times I faced criticism, jealousy, and insults. People doubted me, mocked me, and tried to reduce me to their level, but I did not waste my energy answering every attack. Why? Because silence, when chosen with wisdom, is far more powerful than any argument. You see, when someone insults you, they want a reaction. They want to pull you into their chaos, because your anger feeds their weakness. But when you stay silent, when you refuse to give them the fight they are searching for, you take away all their power. They expect fire, but you give them calm. They expect weakness, but you give them restraint. And in that restraint, they realize that you are untouchable. Silence is not about running away. It is about choosing the battleground where you cannot be defeated. In martial arts, I never allowed my opponent to dictate the rhythm of the fight. If they tried to make me rush, I slowed down. If they tried to force me into anger, I remained calm. Silence works in the same way. It prevents others from controlling your rhythm, your energy, and your mind. When you argue endlessly, you give your energy away. When you remain silent, you conserve it, you protect it, and you redirect it towards something that actually matters. And people often believe that silence is weakness, that if you do not respond, you are surrendering. But I tell you the opposite is true. Silence is the highest proof of self-mastery. Anyone can shout, anyone can curse, anyone can lose control, but very few can hold themselves steady in the middle of provocation. That is why silence is not weakness, it is power. It is the power to say, I do not need to fight this battle. I am above it. I choose peace over chaos. This does not mean silence in all situations. There are times when you must speak, when injustice must be challenged, when truth must be defended. But most of the time, the battles you are invited into are meaningless. They are designed only to steal your peace, to waste your energy, and to distract you from your purpose. If you love yourself, you will not give yourself away so cheaply. If you respect yourself, you will not let your emotions be manipulated like a puppet. Think about your daily life. How often do you argue over things that do not matter? A stranger on the street, a comment on social media, a word spoken in anger by someone who does not even know you. These things are smoke. They have no weight, no value. Yet you waste your energy trying to fight them. But when you remain silent, when you let the smoke pass, you save your fire for battles that are worthy. Silence also creates clarity. When your mouth is closed, your mind begins to see things more clearly. In silence, you observe, you notice, you understand. Many people lose the truth in noise, but silence allows wisdom to rise. I practiced silence because I wanted to hear not only the world around me, but also the voice within me. And that inner voice is where true strength is born. So remember this, silence is not cowardice, it is strategy. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. The man who can control his tongue can control his destiny. The man who does not waste energy on noise will have the strength to build greatness. Love yourself enough to choose silence when others try to drag you into fights that do not matter. Respect yourself enough to hold your peace when speaking would only lower you. The calm man is the unshakable man, and the unshakable man cannot be controlled. 5. Simplicity is the key to freedom. Life becomes heavy when you fill it with too much. Too many possessions, too many desires, too many obligations. These are the chains that tie you down. Many people believe that happiness comes from accumulation, that the more they own, the freer they will feel. But I discovered the opposite to be true. The more you add, the more you lose yourself. The more you chase, the more restless your spirit becomes. Freedom is not in having everything. Freedom is in needing very little. That is why simplicity is not just a lifestyle. It is a form of power, a form of self-love, and a form of respect for your true self. When I was young, I did not live surrounded by luxuries. I did not have endless possessions, but I had something greater. I had focus. My energy was not wasted on maintaining things that did not matter. I lived simply because simplicity cleared my path. When you strip away what is unnecessary, you discover what is essential. And once you find what is essential, you can give your entire heart to it. For me, that was martial arts, philosophy, and the pursuit of becoming the best version of myself. If my life had been filled with distractions, I could never have achieved mastery. Look at the world around you. People are drowning in possessions, clothes they never wear, devices they never use, commitments they never enjoy. They are busy, yet they accomplish nothing. They are surrounded by abundance, yet they feel empty inside. Why? Because the noise of more blinds them from the peace of enough. Simplicity removes the noise. It cuts away the excess. It gives you clarity, focus, and direction. Loving yourself means choosing not to bury yourself under what does not matter. Respecting yourself means having the courage to let go of what does not serve you. Simplicity is not only about material possessions, it is also about your habits, your routines, and your mind. How many people live complicated lives because they say yes to everything? They fill their schedules with obligations that drain them, conversations that weaken them, and goals that are not even their own. To live simply is to choose carefully. It is to say no to what steals your peace, and yes only to what strengthens your purpose. When you live this way, you stop scattering your energy in 100 directions. You gather it, you focus it, and you pour it into what truly matters. That is the essence of freedom. I want you to imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents something unnecessary, an unhealthy relationship, a toxic habit, a possession you don't need, a worry that is not yours to carry. The longer you walk with this backpack, the heavier it feels, and the slower you move. Now imagine taking one rock out, then another, then another. With every rock you release, you feel lighter. With every burden you put down, you move faster, freer, stronger. This is the gift of simplicity. It gives you back your energy, your focus, and your freedom. In combat, simplicity was my greatest weapon. Many fighters wasted time with flashy moves, complicated styles, and endless traditions. But I cut away the unnecessary. I took what was useful, discarded what was not, and created a style that was simple, direct, and effective. This principle applies to life as well. Do not complicate what is meant to be simple. Do not add when you should subtract. Simplicity sharpens the blade of your life. It makes you faster, clearer, more effective. Remember, simplicity is not poverty. It is not about denying yourself joy. It is about understanding what truly brings you joy and refusing to be fooled by illusions. True wealth is not in how much you own, it is in how little you need. When you no longer depend on possessions for happiness, you are free. When you no longer chase endless desires, you are at peace. When your life is simple, your spirit becomes powerful. So love yourself enough to simplify your life. Respect yourself enough to walk away from what clutters your path. Choose experiences over possessions, purpose over distraction, peace over chaos. The man who lives simply walks lightly. The woman who lives simply breathes freely. And the human being who embraces simplicity discovers the kind of freedom that no amount of wealth can ever buy. 6. Express your truth without apology. Too many people live as shadows of themselves. They silence their true voice, hide their real thoughts, and bury their deepest desires just to be accepted by others. But when you betray your own truth to fit in, you do not gain respect. You lose yourself. And the greatest tragedy in life is not being rejected by others, but rejecting yourself in the process of trying to please them. That is why I always said, always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself. This is not just a statement, it is a way of life. When I began to develop my own martial art, Jeet Kune Do, many people criticized me. They said I was breaking tradition, that I had no right to change what had been practiced for centuries. But I did not apologize for my vision because I knew that copying others would never make me whole. I took what was useful, I discarded what was not, and I added what was uniquely mine. That was my truth. And by living it unapologetically, I created something that continues to inspire people decades later. This is what happens when you honor your truth instead of silencing it. You leave behind a legacy, not a shadow. You must understand, self-care is not only about exercise, food, and rest, it is also about authenticity. When you speak and live your truth, you protect your spirit from being crushed under the weight of other people's expectations. When you pretend to be someone you are not, you are living as a mask, and eventually the mask becomes heavier than you can carry. But when you live in alignment with your truth, you move freely, without guilt, without shame, and without apology. That freedom is the highest form of self-love. Ask yourself honestly, how often do you silence your voice to avoid conflict? How often do you agree with what you do not believe just to be liked? How often do you bury your dreams because someone else told you they were unrealistic? Every time you do this, you carve away a piece of your own soul. And eventually, if you are not careful, you will wake up one day surrounded by people who think they know you, but the real you has been lost. This is not living, this is imprisonment. To express your truth does not mean to be harsh or arrogant. It means to live without pretending. It means to speak what you believe, even if your voice shakes. It means to honor your dreams, even if others laugh. It means to walk your own path, even if you walk alone. This is strength. Not the strength of fists, but the strength of the spirit. And the more you practice it, the stronger it grows. Remember this: those who truly love you will never demand that you betray yourself. If someone only accepts you when you hide your truth, then their acceptance is not love. It is control. Respect yourself enough to walk away from such people. Love yourself enough to create a life where your truth is not hidden, but celebrated. When you live authentically, the right people will be drawn to you, and the wrong people will fall away. This is how you build a life of peace, strength, and meaning. In combat, if I had imitated others blindly, I would have remained trapped in their limitations. The same applies to life. If you live according to someone else's rules, you will inherit their weaknesses, not their strengths. But if you trust yourself, if you create your own way, you will uncover possibilities that no one else can see. Expressing your truth is not only about honesty, it is about unlocking your full potential. Because your truth is the seed of your greatness, and if you bury it, the world will never see who you truly are. So I say to you, do not apologize for who you are. Do not shrink yourself to fit into small places. Do not silence your voice to make others comfortable. Stand firm in your truth, speak it with clarity, and live it with courage. The world does not need another copy. It needs the real you. And when you honor that truth, you will find that loving yourself is no longer a struggle. It becomes natural. Because the greatest respect you can give yourself is to live as who you truly are. 7. Flow with life, don't fight it. If there is one lesson that life and martial arts taught me again and again, it is this: resistance often creates more suffering, while flow creates freedom. Too many people waste their energy fighting against what they cannot change. They cling to the past, they resist the present, and they fear the future. In doing so, they create storms within themselves that are heavier than the storms outside. But I discovered that true strength does not come from resisting life. It comes from flowing with it, like water.
Water has always been my teacher. Watch how it moves. It does not resist the rock in its path. It flows around it. It does not fight the shape of the container. It adapts to it. And yet, do not mistake its softness for weakness. Over time, water carves valleys, wears down stone, and shapes landscapes. It is both gentle and unstoppable, flexible yet powerful. This is the secret I lived by: to live like water, to remain formless, adaptable, and free. That is how you survive, how you grow, and how you protect your peace in a world that is always changing.
When you fight against life, you exhaust yourself. You say, why is this happening to me? Why is life unfair? Why am I not where I want to be? These questions trap you in resistance. They fill your mind with bitterness and close your eyes to solutions. But when you flow, when you ask instead, how can I adapt? What can I learn? Where can I move with this energy? Suddenly life begins to open new doors. Flow transforms obstacles into lessons, delays into preparation, and failures into stepping stones. I experienced this in my own journey. When I faced discrimination in Hollywood, when doors were closed to me because of my race, I could have chosen resistance filled with anger and bitterness. But instead, I chose flow. I created opportunities when none were given to me. I adapted, I kept moving, I kept shaping my destiny until the world could no longer ignore me. Flowing does not mean surrendering. It means redirecting your energy with wisdom. It means refusing to break under pressure, but instead bending and reshaping yourself until you find the path forward. Flow also applies to your inner battles. When pain enters your life, you have two choices: resist it and suffer endlessly, or flow with it and grow stronger. Resistance says, I should not feel this pain. I should not face this struggle. But life is not interested in what we think should or should not happen. Pain will come, challenges will arrive, storms will pass through your life whether you approve of them or not. The one who resists will drown in bitterness. The one who flows will rise above the waves. To love yourself is to allow yourself this freedom, to stop fighting battles that cannot be won, and instead flow with life until you find peace within the storm. To flow does not mean you are passive. It does not mean you accept injustice or live without action. Flow means you act with wisdom rather than desperation. You strike when the time is right, you adapt when the time demands it, and you withdraw when the battle is meaningless. In martial arts, if I fought with rigidity, I was broken. But when I fought with flow, I could transform instantly. Attack, defend, adapt, without losing myself. Life is no different. If you are rigid in your mind, the smallest obstacle will shatter you. But if you are fluid like water, no obstacle can ever stop you. Many people live chained by what they cannot control. They cling to the mistakes of yesterday, the fears of tomorrow, and the judgments of others. But you must understand, to flow is to release. Release what is not yours to carry. Release the weight of regrets. Release the poison of anger. Release the illusion that you can control every outcome. When you let go, you free yourself. And in that freedom, you find the power to move with life instead of against it. When you flow with life, you will notice something beautiful. You no longer fear change because change is natural. You no longer cling to control because control is an illusion. You no longer see failure as the end because failure simply redirects you to another path. You live with ease even in difficulty. You walk with peace even in storms. You find strength not in resisting what is, but in embracing it and transforming it. That is the true art of living. So I say to you, learn from water. Be adaptable, but never lose yourself. Be soft, but never weak. Flow around obstacles, bend when life demands it, and yet remain unstoppable in your movement. Do not resist the current of life, for resistance will only drown you. Flow with it, and you will discover that no force in this world can break you. To flow is to love yourself enough to protect your peace. To flow is to respect yourself enough to trust that life is guiding you, even when the path is unclear. Remember this truth: the one who resists becomes rigid and eventually breaks. The one who flows remains free, unshaken, and eternal, just like water. 8. Protect your energy as your greatest resource. There is one truth that too many people ignore. Your energy is your life. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take requires energy. And yet, most people throw their energy away without awareness. They waste it on endless arguments, meaningless distractions, shallow relationships, and battles that do not matter. Then they wonder why they feel tired, why they feel uninspired, why their dreams never move forward. It is because they have given away their greatest resource to things that do not deserve it. If you truly love yourself, you must learn to protect your energy as fiercely as a warrior protects his weapon. I guarded my energy the way I guarded my body and my mind. Not everyone deserved my time. Not every battle deserved my attention. Not every person deserved my presence. This was not arrogance. It was clarity. I understood that if I poured my energy into everyone and everything, I would have nothing left for my art, my growth, and my destiny. You must understand this too. Energy is limited. You only have so much of it each day. If you spend it carelessly, you will live a careless life. But if you spend it wisely, you will create something that lasts forever. Ask yourself, how often do you waste your energy on anger? Someone cuts you off in traffic and you rage for hours. Someone insults you online and you argue endlessly with a stranger you will never meet. Someone close to you says something hurtful and you replay it in your mind again and again, giving away your peace. This is energy theft, and you are the one allowing it. Self-respect begins with realizing that not every situation deserves your reaction. When you control your energy, you control your life. Protecting your energy also means choosing your circle carefully. Surround yourself with people who lift you, who challenge you to grow, who believe in your dreams. Stay away from those who drain you, who fill your mind with doubt, who poison your spirit with negativity. Loving yourself means refusing to sit at tables where your energy is constantly stolen. Respecting yourself means building an environment where your energy is nourished, not consumed. In martial arts, conserving energy is as important as using it. A fighter who wastes his strength on wild, uncontrolled movements quickly burns out, while the disciplined fighter, who strikes only when it matters, always has the advantage. Life is the same. Do not waste your strength on meaningless noise. Use it with precision, with intention, with purpose. If you focus your energy only on what truly matters, your health, your growth, your purpose, then nothing can stop you. Think of energy like water stored in a vessel. If the vessel has holes, the water leaks until nothing is left. Each hole represents wasted energy: worry, gossip, anger, regret, toxic people, endless distractions. If you do not seal these holes, no matter how much water you pour in, it will never be enough. But when you seal the leaks, when you stop wasting energy on what does not serve you, suddenly you find yourself full, overflowing, powerful. That is when you have the strength to build, to create, to fight for what truly matters. I want you to remember this. Every yes you give is a piece of your energy. Every no you withhold is also a piece of your energy. Be wise with both. Saying yes to everyone will destroy you. Saying no when necessary will protect you. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is survival. It is the recognition that your life has value, and you must not let it be drained by things unworthy of you. So I say to you, protect your energy as if it were gold, because it is worth more than gold. Guard it from negativity, conserve it from distractions, and direct it toward the life you want to build. Your energy creates your reality. Waste it, and your life will be wasted. Preserve it, and your life will shine with strength and clarity. To love yourself is to protect this resource. To respect yourself is to refuse to let anyone or anything steal it. And when you live this way, you will discover that your energy, once preserved and focused, has the power to change not only your life, but the lives of everyone around you. 9. Value rest as deeply as action. Many people believe that strength is found only in constant motion, in endless effort, in never stopping. They think that if they are not always moving, always working, always chasing, they are falling behind. But this is a mistake. Just as the body cannot function without breath, life cannot function without balance. To love yourself and to respect yourself, you must understand that rest is not laziness, and silence is not wasted time. True mastery comes from knowing when to act with force and when to recover with stillness. When I trained, I pushed myself to extremes. My body knew pain, sweat, and exhaustion. But I also learned that if I never gave myself time to rest, my strength would break instead of grow. Muscles rebuild in rest. The mind sharpens in silence. The spirit renews itself in stillness. Action without recovery leads only to burnout. But action balanced with rest leads to mastery. This is why I always treated rest as an equal partner to training. It was not weakness, it was wisdom. Think about nature. The sun does not shine without setting. The waves crash with power, but they also retreat in calm. Trees grow tall, but they also shed their leaves and rest in winter. The universe itself is built on cycles of activity and rest, movement and stillness. Why then do so many people believe they can defy this law? They burn themselves endlessly and then wonder why their bodies collapse, why their minds grow foggy, why their spirits feel empty. They forget that rest is not the absence of progress. It is the fuel of progress. Respecting yourself means listening to your limits. It means being aware of when your body asks for recovery, when your mind asks for silence, when your spirit asks for space. Ignoring these signals is not strength, it is self-destruction. Many people confuse exhaustion with dedication. They wear their tiredness like a badge of honor. But what honor is there in destroying yourself? Real strength is in knowing how to push and when to pause. Real self-love is in giving yourself permission to breathe. Rest also creates clarity. When you step away from constant noise, when you pause from endless effort, you begin to see what truly matters. In silence, you hear your own voice. In stillness, your vision becomes sharper. Without this, you may work endlessly, but head in the wrong direction. But with rest, you realign yourself, you gather strength, and you return with greater focus. I always used rest as a way to refine my mind, to sharpen my spirit, and to return to the world stronger than before. Understand this, rest is not about escaping responsibility. It is about honoring the responsibility you have toward yourself. It is saying, my body matters, my mind matters, my spirit matters, and because they matter, I will not treat them as tools to be used until they break. I will treat them as sacred, and I will give them the time they need to recover. This is self-respect in its purest form. So do not fear stillness. Do not feel guilty for resting. Do not confuse silence with weakness. When you rest with intention, you are not wasting time. You are investing it. You are filling your cup so that you can pour again. You are sharpening your sword so that it can cut cleanly once more. You are preparing your spirit for the next battle. Love yourself enough to allow this renewal. Respect yourself enough to see rest not as laziness, but as strength in disguise. Remember this truth. The bow that is always stretched will eventually snap. But the bow that is allowed to loosen regains its power. The human being who never rests will eventually break. But the one who rests with wisdom becomes unbreakable. Value rest as deeply as action, and you will discover balance. In balance, you will find strength. And in that strength, you will live not as a machine that burns out, but as a master who endures. 10. Live with purpose, not for approval. The greatest tragedy of modern life is that too many people live not for themselves, but for the opinions of others. They shape their choices around what the world expects. They chase dreams that are not truly theirs. They wear masks to gain acceptance and walk paths designed by society, not by their own spirit. But when you live this way, you may gain approval, but you will lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, no amount of applause can fill the emptiness inside. That is why I say, to love yourself and to respect yourself, you must live with purpose, not for approval. From the beginning of my journey, I faced doubt and resistance. People told me I could not succeed as an actor because of my race. They said I was too small to become a martial arts icon. They doubted my vision when I spoke of combining philosophy, martial arts, and film into one. If I had lived for approval, I would have given up before I even started. If I had tried to please everyone, I would have lived quietly, comfortably, but insignificantly. But I did not come here to be comfortable. I came here to live with purpose. My purpose was to express my art, to share my philosophy, to inspire others to break their own limitations. That purpose burned brighter than any criticism, louder than any rejection, stronger than any wall placed before me. When you live for approval, you are like a leaf blown by the wind, changing direction with every shift of opinion. One day you are praised and you feel high. The next day you are criticized and you feel worthless. This is not freedom. This is slavery. But when you live with purpose, you are like a tree with deep roots. The wind may blow, storms may come, but you remain grounded, firm, unshaken, because you know why you are here. Purpose gives you strength when approval is taken away. Purpose gives you direction when the path is unclear. Purpose gives you identity when the world tries to make you a copy. Ask yourself, why do you wake up each day? Is it to prove yourself to others, or is it to honor your own soul? If your answer is the first, you will always be tired, always be restless, always be empty. Because no matter what you do, there will always be someone who disapproves. No matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who criticizes. You cannot control the opinions of the world, but you can control the purpose of your life. And when your purpose is clear, the noise of approval or disapproval loses its power over you. Living with purpose does not mean life will be easy. In fact, it may become more difficult because you will often stand against the crowd. But that difficulty is the price of freedom. It is the weight of authenticity. And it is a price worth paying because living without purpose is far heavier. To love yourself means to give yourself the gift of a meaningful life. To respect yourself means to refuse to waste your days living only as a reflection of what others expect. Purpose is also what gives self-care meaning. Think about it. Why do you strengthen your body? Not just to look strong, but to live strong enough to fulfill your mission. Why do you guard your mind? Not just for peace, but to think clearly so you can walk your path. Why do you live with discipline, silence, and simplicity? Because they remove distractions and allow you to focus fully on what matters most. Every habit of self-care is empty without purpose. Purpose is the thread that ties them all together. Do not ask, what will people think of me? Ask instead, what legacy do I want to leave? Do not live to be liked. Live to be remembered for staying true to yourself. The crowd may cheer you today and forget you tomorrow, but when you live with purpose, your impact will outlive their approval. That is the mark of a life well lived. So I say to you, live your own life, define your own mission, walk your own path, and do it unapologetically, even if no one understands, even if no one supports you, because in the end, the only approval that truly matters is the one you give yourself, and the only way to earn it is to live with purpose. Remember this truth: approval fades, but purpose endures. Approval is borrowed, but purpose is owned. Approval makes you a follower, but purpose makes you a leader of your own life. To live with purpose is to live with love for yourself and respect for the gift of life you are given. And once you live this way, nothing, no critic, no rejection, no obstacle can take your power away. Loving yourself is not selfish. It is the foundation of all strength. Respecting yourself is not arrogance. It is the key to living with honor. These 10 habits are not tricks, not shortcuts, not passing routines. They are ways of life. They are the disciplines, the choices, and the philosophies that turn a fragile spirit into an unshakable force. When you master your body, you show the world that you value the life you were given. When you guard your mind, you protect your destiny from being stolen by negativity. When you live with discipline, you declare that your future matters more than your excuses. When you embrace silence, you prove that control is greater than chaos. When you live simply, you free yourself from chains you created. When you express your truth, you honor the voice that no one else can replace. When you flow with life, you adapt and become unbreakable. When you protect your energy, you conserve your power for what truly matters. When you value rest, you create balance and longevity. And when you live with purpose, you no longer need approval because your soul itself becomes your compass. Do not look at these habits as rules I followed only for myself. They are universal. They belong to anyone who wishes to live fully, freely, and powerfully. The world will try to distract you, control you, and weaken you. But when you live with these principles, you remain untouchable. You stand tall not because life is easy, but because you are unshaken by its storm. Remember this truth: the greatest victory you can achieve is not over others, but over yourself. To conquer your own doubts, to overcome your own fears, to master your own habits, that is the path to true freedom. Love yourself enough to walk this path. Respect yourself enough to never turn back. And when you do, you will discover that nothing outside of you has power over you. The power has always been within you. So live with strength, live with clarity, live with love for yourself so deep that the world cannot shake it. And when you do, you will not just exist, you will live as a force of nature, unstoppable, unshakable, eternal.